Adesanya will fight in June 12 against Marvin Vettori. Vettori's last loss was against Israel Adesanya in 2018 by split decision. It's one of the toughest fights Adesanya has had in the UFC. Israel Adesanya's last loss was against Jan Blachowicz last month in March. Robert Whittaker, in my opinion, is more deserving of a title shot than Marvin Vettori for several reasons. Number one, he's ranked higher than Marvin Vettori. Number two, he was the champion and hasn't had a rematch despite being in a 3-fight winning streak. And number three, his latest wins were against a tougher competition. Robert's last 3 wins were against Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and Kevin Gastelum, whereas Marvin Vettori's last 3 wins were against Carl Robertson, Jack Hermanson, and Kevin Holland. However, I agree with this decision if the reasons presented for choosing Marvin Vettori are accurate. Essentially, the UFC opted for this fight because this time frame doesn't work for Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker just fought Kelvin Gastelum in a tough 25-minute war. He's probably healing the damages he suffered in that fight. If he accepts the fight in 12th of June, he will have only 7 weeks to heal up, prepare, and fight again. In other words, he will have to heal up, prepare, and fight again in less than 2 months. Plus, in his post-fight interview, he said that he had injuries that he needed to take care of. He has injuries in his shin and hands. He stated that he is interested in a title fight and will be ready for September or October. So under these circumstances, I agree that Marvin Vettori is the right fight to make since he can fight right now. Robert Whittaker no doubt deserves the title shot and he should be fighting for the title next, in my opinion, in October or December or November.
Do you envision any scenario in which he would want to fight sooner than that? And if that were the case, what would your response to that be?
Adesanya?
Yeah.
I've got to go home and I've got to have a look at my injuries. Going into this fight, I wasn't 100%. I don't think any fighter is, but I have to take care of some of my hands and especially my shin and things like that. My legs, a little beat up.
When you
This way, the division will remain active. Whittaker will heal his injuries and fight when he's prepared. Not to mention that Marvin Vettori will get his rematch against Adesanya. It should be an interesting fight. Dana White claimed that Jon Jones wants $30 million to fight Francis Ngannou since last year and hasn't presented any proof for that matter. Jon Jones challenged Dana to show the text and he hasn't presented it. Recently, Dana White appeared in the Bill Simmons podcast and claimed that Jon Jones wants $30 million guaranteed.
When John's ready, he'll let us know.
When you say John's ready, what needs to happen for John to be ready? Is it just a dollar sign or is what else is going on there?
This happens a lot. What happens a lot in this sport is these guys are under contract. They sign deals, and then a fight will pop up, and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't want to fight for that deal now. I want a new deal." So we try to do the best. Listen, you want everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy, but you want to make them as happy as you possibly can. So, we'll try to figure something out. And if we can, we will, and we get the deal done. And if we can't, we won't. And it's up to him whether he wants to fight again.
So, tell me the numbers. How high? What's a realistic number for both parties in a Jones championship fight, heavyweight title?
In his deal, he's talking. He wants $30 million guaranteed. Do
it. Sign him up. That's it. I'll chip in $50.
Yeah.
A year later, Dana is still claiming that Jon Jones is asking for $30 million and he hasn't presented the text message. Jon Jones responded to Dana again. "I never discussed wanting $30 million with you nor Hunter Campbell. Dana White, I'm just wondering where you heard that number. Is there someone speaking with you on my behalf or?" A discussion that has been going around in the MMA community is who is lying in this situation. I don't think it's hard to say who is lying here with how things unfolded. Just for the fact that Dana White claimed last year that he has the text message and he can prove it, and Jon Jones challenged him to show the message and we haven't had them. It shows that Dana has been lying. If he had those messages, he would have shown them. John Jones cannot prove a negative fact because it didn't happen, meaning that John Jones cannot show a non-existent text.